Welcome back, y'all. This is the Bluechip Breakdown. I'm your host, Bull. Happy Friday to everybody. Y'all know on Fridays, we typically focus a little bit more on high school football, so we will be updating you on our 25 and 26 big boards. And we'll also be talking about a few players that should be in attendance tomorrow night for the game in Norman that we feel like might be Vol leans. And on Friday nights, usually we like to stream a high school football game. I'm not sure if we'll be able to do that tonight, but we will let you know if you are subscribed to this channel at some point this afternoon. So keep a close eye out for that. And as always, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much to all of the members. Y'all doing a great job of supporting this channel. If you're not already a member, and if you would like to support, or if you just want to get access to those film sessions, please do consider clicking on the join button just below this video. Also, a really big shout out to everybody that's donating to this channel. That's another great way to support what we do. And if you would like to do that, you can scan the Cash App, QR code, wherever it is on this video. You can donate as little as $1. Let's go ahead and jump into it. All right, y'all. First, I want to take a look at our 2025 class rankings with On3. Y'all can see that we're 7th nationally. We're 6th in the SEC, which is just crazy. The SEC is it's way different. And we've got an overall rating for the class of a 92.01. I don't know if we'll be able to get to top 5. I had kind of talked on that before. I said I think that there's a chance. The only realistic way that we'll probably break into the top 5 is if several of our players move up at the end of this whole deal with the player ratings and things like that. Now, On3 did recently update their player ratings. I know that they actually dropped David Sanders down some, which makes absolutely no sense. He's now the number 2 rated offensive tackle and offensive lineman in the 2025 class. That's just with On3. But if you look at their industry ratings, which looks at every single other major site, right? So 24/7 Sports, ESPN, and Rivals, it kind of averages all that together. He's still number 1 in this class. And for everyone that is a stargazer, I get it. I think that it's kind of a good gauge to see how we're doing versus other teams per se. But at the same time, just cutting on the tape with these guys, you can tell why everyone wants them. I think that the offer list is a little bit more of an accurate indication of how good a player actually is. But then, we do our film breakdowns more so based off of how they will fit into our system. So obviously, man, David Sanders is a stud right here. Doug Utu, I would expect that he should go up. Now, I don't know if he moves up or down with the new On3 ratings, but he's a player that should be a 5-star for sure. I mean, plays a national schedule. He's dominant on every single play versus the best competition in the whole country. There's no reason that he doesn't go up. Now, he's a player, along with probably all of our guys, that we're going to have to hold on to very, very closely. I know that USC is pushing hard for Doug Utu, and he went on a visit last weekend, I think because his team played maybe Matter Day, so they were already in LA or in that area, and that's why maybe, several of those guys stopped by USC. But USC is a program that I feel like we need to watch very closely. They're doing some different stuff. We talked about that last time that we did a video like this, and I think that GMAC might have gone down some. Again, none of that stuff really matters. I think that Marion Dow might have gone up just a taste. Not quite sure about most of these guys. Travis Smith, he actually came out here recently and said he's locked in with Tennessee. There's been some rumors out there about Auburn and Georgia. That's something that, their fan base has just started up just to, try to get some things going. But I think that we're solid here with all these guys. I also want to point out that Jaden Lofton, I don't know if I had mentioned this in any of the previous videos, he's going to be out for the season. I think that I did actually bring this up, but for those of y'all that don't know, he tore something in his knee. It might be an ACL injury, so he's going to be out for the season. Probably won't have an opportunity to get his rankings up at all, but he's really good. I think that he could play inside on that D-line or on the outside. He's a phenomenal player, with no questions. Also, Christian Gass, I think that we have to watch him. We talked about that in the previous video. I think that Georgia, that is a team that we're going to need to watch. Now, he is planning on coming up for some visits at some point this season, probably Alabama and Florida. And that UGA game versus Tennessee Tech was his first time at a college game. So once he sees their atmosphere versus Knoxville's atmosphere, I think that he's going to be very, very locked in with our Vols. Let's keep on going, because there are a few players that I kind of want to talk about here, especially down towards the bottom right here. Okay, so Justin Baker, he had a great game last weekend, and we actually streamed that one on this channel versus Douglas County. He balled out. I don't know what his, final yardage and all that type of stuff was. He was on campus last weekend. He's definitely locked in, but I would expect for his, rankings and all that stuff to start to go up with no question. Also, man, we talk about this all the time. Ty Redmond, he's got to go up. There's no reason he's still rated as our lowest player in this class. I think that he should be, at least in that top half. He is an absolutely phenomenal player. Now let's take a look at our updated big board as of today's date, September the 20th for the 2025 class. And we did take D. Morris off of this board. He's a 3-star athlete that's currently committed to USC We want him to play running back in college. He's a really good player, but he's just not showing, as far as I can tell, the seriousness to come up on campus. And until he does that, we'll just leave him off of this board. I do think that Tennessee is still going to continue to pursue and target some running backs in this class. And along with that, we have a linebacker that we'll talk about today that we don't have up on this big board just because, I'm not sure how serious he is about Tennessee at this point, but we do know that Tennessee is targeting him. And the same thing can be said about more of a pass rush body, right? Like more of that Leo position. The players that we have on this board currently are going to be more defensive tackles and strong side DNs. So we'll talk about number one, obviously Andrew Maddox, 4-star defensive lineman, currently committed to Ole Miss. And I think that he is pretty serious about coming up on campus. Once he does come up on campus, I think that Tennessee can flip him really for any of the front 7 pieces, especially with the front 4. I think Tennessee's got a great chance to just get them to listen a little bit more than maybe they would have in previous seasons, just because national media is talking so much about our front 4 on defense that I know more and more people will start to pay, closer attention to what we have going on there. So I think that we do have a good chance with Andrew Maddox. Also, we have Joseph Mbachu, 3-star defensive lineman, currently committed to Florida. Everybody's in on him at this point. We all know that Napier is all but out the door. Once Napier is officially let go from Florida, expect for that thing to just get blown wide open. But he's a player that I think could play on the interior or he could play on the strong side. And I think that, man, his ceiling with being such a new player to football is just sky high. So he's one that I would love to see us add to this class. And I know that he's very high up on the, staffs board and things like that. Now, outside of the players that we see up on this board at this point, I want to talk about someone that could play Leo for us from Houston, Texas. His name is Toby Hastrup. He's a 4-star defensive end listed at 6'4", 235 pounds. Right now, kind of feels like those Texas schools might kind of have the edge. But it seems like, man, with us recently offering him, that things could start to heat up. If he comes up on campus, watch out for him to want to be that next James Pierce. All the pass rushers are talking about James Pierce. And also feel like James Pierce will have a really big showing this weekend, which should all but help, any front 7 player that Tennessee's targeting at this point. And it won't just be James Pierce. There's going to be several other guys that will flash in this game that everyone's going to be watching. We'll talk more about that here in just a moment. But we have another player that I want to talk about who is a linebacker, and his name is Madden Fariamo. I hope that I'm saying his name correctly. He is from San Diego. He's listed at 6'3", 225 pounds. He's the number 90 overall player, according to On3's industry ratings. And he's kind of been a lean towards Notre Dame for quite some time, but it sounds like things are starting to open back up. So we'll see. Can we get him up on campus? Coming from a long ways away, but it's probably just as far as Notre Dame is from San Diego. So I think that maybe we could get him in. It definitely does feel like Tennessee wants to add another linebacker body. He kind of, he's got like that Keenan Pili size to him. He could definitely fill out, but, it's just good to add those linebackers that have that size, have that length, and that are really, really versatile. So it would just be huge if we could add, either one or both of these players to this class. I think that could go a pretty long way to, Tennessee being able to bump up into that top 5 with On3. Now let's flip the page to the 2026 big board as of today's date, September the 20th. And it's pretty much the exact same board. There won't be too much movement with this class, probably for some time. It's very early on in this process. But as y'all just kind of like looking over all the players that we do have up on this board, I'll just kind of highlight a few that, have kind of come up here with some of the insiders. Number 1 is going to be Bryce Perry-Wright, and he is a defensive end. He does go to Buford High School. He's currently ranked as the number 88 overall player with On3's industry rankings. And the insiders are saying that right now it's between us, Auburn, Alabama, Clemson, and UGA. I'm going to go ahead and tell you Ohio State is in that mix. He's very, very close with Edric Houston, who also went to Buford, and he graduated in the 2024 class, and he went to Ohio State. I know that for a while they kind of wanted to go to the same school. South Carolina was also very high up on his board at some point, but I know that he really does like Tennessee. So we need to just put that full court press on for Bryce Perry-Wright, and I know that he is going to, entertain our staff. And like we said throughout this entire video, that track record, especially here recently, that speaks for itself. But it will be huge to add him because I think he's versatile enough to play anywhere on our line at a really, really high level. Buford plays more of a 3-man front, so he's consistently getting double teamed. And he's still wreaking havoc. He's still making plays. And as y'all know, Buford plays up against, it's almost like like Bishop Gorman and some of these other schools that play more of that national schedule. Well, here in Georgia, they're seeing pretty much the same caliber of talent. It's Power 5 players every single week. And to see him dominating at the, level that he is dominating, you know that his game will translate. So definitely watch out for him. And I also want to talk some about Savion Hitter, who is now ranked as the number 2 overall running back with On3. He was number 1 before. Either way, he is planning on coming up to visit Tennessee versus Alabama. He's a player that I would love to see us land just because we haven't had that 5-star running back. Again, according to these rankings and stuff like that, with this team. So what does Coach Heupel do with a running back of that caliber? I think that could be huge for us moving forward. Now let's talk about some players that will be in attendance for tomorrow's game in Norman versus the Oklahoma Sooners, starting off with 4-star linebacker Ja'Cory Smith. He's from Arkansas. Insiders didn't think earlier in his process that he would leave the state of Arkansas, but now we're seeing that he's given some of these other programs and teams out of state a very strong look. It did seem like he liked Tennessee from the things that I've read earlier in his process, but coming to this game, it'll be important for Tennessee's linebacking core to perform at a high level because they're not getting a ton of media buzz like Oklahoma's linebackers are. They're getting a whole lot of buzz. And I think that they're going to look worse than our linebackers will because, we've got a much better offense than Oklahoma does. So hopefully that contrast will push him more towards Coach Inge and our Tennessee Volunteers after this game. The next player is going to be Bear McWhorter, who is a 4-star offensive lineman, and we already know that it should be a very strong contrast between Tennessee's offensive line versus Oklahoma's offensive line because their offensive line kind of sucks. Even getting back their best players, they're still not going to be that good versus an offensive line that is, probably top 5 in the entire country. So hopefully that does kind of push him more to want to come and play for our Volunteers. And then the last player is going to be Deuce Gerald. He is a 5-star defensive lineman. I think he's only a 4-star with On3, but he really should be rated as a 5-star. He's really good. Now, he can play on the inside where I think his ceiling is at the highest, or he can play on the outside. He's a guy that I could only imagine is going to be very high on Tennessee's board. I don't know why the insiders don't talk more about him. I know his, head coach very well. We're best friends growing up. He's a huge Tennessee fan. Doesn't mean that his coach is going to push him to Tennessee, but I know that Deuce is seeing a whole lot of orange and white every single day at practice or in team meetings, whatever, because, his head coach is, just like us, right? He is a huge, huge, huge Tennessee fan. So I think that could only help us out in this situation. And I want to hear more about Deuce, man. He's too good for us not to be talking more about him with our insiders. And I'm sure that it is for a reason, but I would just like to know what that reason is. And the last player that we will talk about is not in the 2026 class, but in the 27 class. That is Cooper Witten. For those of y'all that don't know, yes, that is Jason Witten's son. And he's a very versatile athlete. I think that he could play tight end. I think that he could play DN, or he could play linebacker. And it's not necessarily a slam dunk that he's going to commit to Tennessee once that opportunity or, once that time does come. Just because his pops went there, I think that they're going to go through the entire process and they understand, of course, that this is a business decision. So if Tennessee is the, team and program that fits Cooper Witten the best, then that's where he's going to end up going. But I think that in this game, it should only help us because all of the positions that Cooper Witten could play in college, we're going to perform at a really high level at least I hope that we do, knock on wood, fingers crossed. And, that should hopefully persuade him to continue to take Tennessee a little bit more seriously. And not just because his pops went there, but because it is the correct fit. But that's going to be it for this video. Thank y'all so much for sticking all the way to the end. Please make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, share with your friends, family, and other volunteer fans. We'll see y'all in the next one. Thanks. Peace.